reside in southeast Louisiana. This is WDSU News at 10.
Good evening and welcome to the WDSU News Hot Seat. I'm Norman Robinson. It's one of the hottest races in the March 15th runoff, pitting a longtime New Orleans City Council member against a well-known retired judge. Jackie Clarkson and Nadine Ramsey are in a classic tug-of-war for the District C Council seat. And tonight they're here to try to convince you to vote for them. Thank you both for being here, ladies.
Thank you, Norman.
Let's jump right into the questions, shall we?
All right.
Beginning with Ms. Clarkson, why are you running?
Well, I'm running on my record. And I've been proud to lead a council that stands for change, transparency, and reform. We created legislatively private-public partnerships for economic development that created 4,500 jobs and 61 retail outlets. We recreated NORD through public-private partnership, and we have put thousands and thousands of our children and seniors on rebuilt playgrounds, new parks, and into all sorts of programs of both arts and sports. And we have reformed Sewage and Water Board. We balanced a budget with more revenues than expenditures and a fund balance and put 150 police on the streets. And we also secured the independence and autonomy of the Inspector General by putting him in the charter.
We'll get back to you.
That's why I want to run, because I want to finish the job.
We'll get back to you in a second. Ms. Ramsey, why are you running?
I'm running for too long. District C has had a lot of talk and no results. District C is one of the most culturally diverse and economically viable districts in our city, but we have major problems. Crime is on the rise. We don't have any jobs that are being new and created. Slow economic development. Blighted property is surrounding us and destroying our neighborhoods. We deserve better representation than that, and I'm running. I grew up in a family where my parents worked very hard, and they stressed the importance of education, hard work, and keeping your word. We have been told many times what is going to be done. My opponent sat here 4 years ago and said, just give me 4 more years and I'm going to do all of these things. We're hearing the same talk now, 4 more years, and I'm going to do something.
Thank you. Nothing's been done, Ms. Clarkson?
Not hardly. We've done a lot. 4,500 jobs, I think that's quite a start. Federal City, we kept $3 billion of the $5 billion of economic impact of the military here. We have the largest Coast Guard district in America sitting on Federal City on the Mississippi River, and we have the largest Marine Reserve headquarters in the world sitting on Federal City. I think that's called jobs. We also have our NOLA Business Alliance, which is still out there recreating more. We have more and more jobs every day. The 4,500 is in the past. And when I sat here and promised 4 more years at large for the whole city, we said we'd rebuild this city and bring it back. We have rebuilt this city, and we have brought it back. This city's never been on a roll like this. We're being touted at every national level in the country.
Thank you. Ms. Ramsey, what about that? Federal City, jobs?
Federal City, jobs, reorganization of NORD. Tell that to our state championship team at Carr that doesn't have bathrooms, locker rooms, facilities. They don't have lights at their home stadium. When we talk about jobs, when I walk the neighborhood, there are people struggling to make ends meet. Where Federal City is located, we were promised billions of dollars of economic development. We were promised thousands of jobs within our community. We know outside of the gates of Federal City, we still don't have pavements. We don't have any businesses growing. Businesses are closing along the General Meyer Newton corridor. That's why I'm running.
Ms. Clarkson?
Well, we have created the jobs within the military is established. That was my promise. That was my commitment and my job. I led that charge. That's not bad to keep the Marines and the Coast Guard here, because we would have lost them. We were on the BRAC list. That means base realignment and closure, in case you didn't know. And that meant we were ready to be shut down by Congress. And we saved it. That's rare in America. Now, we also promised the second half would be economic development through retail and businesses. I haven't been on that board for 2 years. I've been at large and been the budget chairman. That was a conflict of interest. When I go back to that board, I will create the retail and the businesses because I've done that professionally for 44 years. And as far as the promises of the Berman Stadium, the money is in the bank to fix that. And we have repaired Berman Stadium many times, and we are going to do it again. That is a prep haven, and we know it.
Thank you. You get the last word on this issue of economic development and jobs.
What my opponent is talking about are jobs for the military. We were very recently meeting with a neighborhood association, and she brought up the same topic. There are military jobs. The residents of Walnut Bend that we were talking to are not military. They're citizens. When they were asked about jobs, they were told by my opponent that Subway hired. That's not satisfactory to me.
Did you say Subway hired?
I said we have, they said, what businesses are there? I said something like Subway and a credit union, and that's not the job you want. Those aren't the jobs you want, is what I said. And I said the military has hired some of our civilian people. However, the real jobs for our people are coming with the further development of the retail that we will bring there. We've put 61 new retail outlets in this city in 4 years. You think we aren't going to bring it to Federal City under our NOLA Business Alliance? Of course we are.
And you're saying that's not enough?
Certainly.
All right. Let's talk about crime and public safety. What can you do as District C council members? What can you do about crime and safety? Let's start with you first.
We can certainly support the police department and make sure that it is staffed, that we have officers on the street. We can encourage and support community policing, foot patrols, bike patrols, work with our recruits to make sure that they receive proper training, increase the pay for recruits. There are lots of things that can be done. We know that crime is tied to our very high dropout rate in this city. We have to be willing not only to address crime, but to talk about what are we going to do with our schools to support them, to support our students, to make sure that we work with them to address dropout rate so that they can get jobs and be prepared for the future.
Thank you. Ms. Clarkson, on the subject of crime and public safety, what can you do?
Crime is certainly our worst problem, and we have already addressed it, and we've already made progress, but there's plenty more to be done. Number one, we reduced the murder rate by 20%. Number two, we've already not promised, paid for 150 police on the street this year. That's done. That's not talked about. That's done. The 150 will be trained this year, and it's in the budget. And next we will have, and we've done NOLA for Life, we've done the midnight basketball, we've recreated NORD. We have done the preventive work that will pay off for our children. And to prevent the crime is going to be the secret in order to, especially to address juvenile crime. And we've put all those programs in place, and that is all paid for. We've also fully funded the consent decree from our budget so that we may reform the police department. So that is what we're doing. We're not talking about it. It's done.
Thank you. District C, as you know, is a unique district in that it crosses the river. Talk to us about the geographical divide. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, Ms. Clarkson?
I think it's a great thing, because I grew up in Algiers with a grandmother in the French Quarter. I thought I had a grandmother in each side of the river, and I loved it, because I got to ride the ferry boat back and forth to visit grandmothers. I think it's a wonderful thing. And I think the river is a uniter, not a divider. And I think we have made it more palatable by getting our ferries back. And ever since we built the bridge, I was there in the days when we had no bridges. But Algiers it's the second oldest community in the history of the city, and there's a reason, because we've always been the river city. We had the high land, just like the French Quarter, and we were created right after the French Quarter. Bienville came down the river and only saw 2 high spots, and that was the French Quarter and Algiers. And so we've always been that river city, and we've always thrived on being a part of the river.
Thank you. Ms. Ramsey, good thing or a bad thing, this geographical
I think it's
divide?
a good thing. And I don't call it a geographical divide. I like to see it as being a uniter. I'm very fortunate. I've lived in Algiers for almost 30 years. I went to high school at Holy Angels in the Bywater. My parents owned small businesses within the Bywater area. I think it's great to have a district that covers so much, that we have such a diversity, and it makes it a very pleasurable and enjoyable district. I love it.
All right, we'll have to stop right there. We'll pause for our first break. But when we come back, What may be the toughest questions these two candidates will have to answer during their campaigns? You'll have to stick around to find out what that is, so don't go far. Welcome back to the WDSU News Hot Seat. I'm Norman Robinson. Tonight we're speaking with the two runoff candidates for the New Orleans District C Council seat, Jackie Clarkson and Nadine Ramsey. Time to put them on the hot spot, or maybe not. Since we started with Ms. Clarkson first, we'll start with Ms. Ramsey coming out of the break. Ms. Ramsey, what's the nicest thing you can say about your opponent? Then tell us why there's no way the public should vote for her.
The nicest thing that I can say about her, she's a very pleasant woman, very pleasant. People should not vote for her because she's not keeping her word. She told us 4 years ago she was leaving. She told us this summer she was leaving. She's promised billions of dollars in economic development. She's promised growth to our district. It hasn't happened.
Ms. Clarkson, what's the nicest thing you could say about your opponent, and tell us why the public shouldn't vote for her?
Well, she's a very lovely lady. I've had the privilege of knowing her, especially through a granddaughter of mine. She's good friends with my granddaughter, and I appreciate the mentoring she gave my granddaughter. I think she's a very pretty lady, too. And so, but they shouldn't vote for her because she's promising change she knows nothing about. She's promising things we have done. I didn't make promises I didn't keep. I can document everything I said 4 years ago, and it's all in the books. It is done. And yes, I was going home. I was termed out at large. I've been drafted back to come back to District C because District C is where I started, and I know it best. And it's where it was it'll be the last to get recovery because it was the dry district and the safe haven during Katrina, which I know all about because I was there on duty.
Thank you.
I want to come back,
and
I want to come back and do the recovery.
Thank you. Ms. Ramsey, was ending up in a runoff a surprise or part of your campaign strategy from the beginning?
It was not the campaign strategy. We were running to win outright. But needless to say, we're very excited about the support we received and to have made it to the runoff. My opponent has been in public service for a quarter of a century. The mayor called her back into the race. We feel very comfortable that there was a machine behind her and that we stopped it. I'm happy.
Ms. Clarkson, were you surprised to end up in a runoff, or was that part of your strategy?
No, not at all. There were 5 of us in a race. You don't win a race with 5 people, and I've been in it long enough to know that. And it wasn't just the mayor that called me back in. It was the mayor that offered to help because a lot of the business leaders and neighborhood leaders of District C that know how I served them in the past asked me to come back. That was the real push, and I knew what had to be done. I knew that this administration and council had built the resources. We didn't get the FEMA help in District C the rest of the city got, and rightfully so, because we were the dry district. We were the safe haven for the rest of the city to come home, and we served it well. It's our turn for recovery now, and the administration and council that I was proud to be a part of built the resources, and I need to come back because I know where those resources are and I know where they have to be spent.
Thank you. How important for the recovery of the city is it for the council to have a working relationship with the mayor?
Oh, unbelievably, and I've never served on a better council. I said last night or a couple of nights ago at a fundraiser of mine, I said, I'm an original Nord kid, and this is the best team I've ever served on. Yeah, ever played on. It's been incredibly good. We disagree. We should. We're elected by different constituencies a lot of times, especially the district council people. We disagree with each other. We disagree with the mayor very, very healthily. But we don't have to fight in public. We don't fight in public. And we do get the job done. We do manage to compromise. We do what's right by every person in every district, and we go and get the job done, which is remarkable. This city is on a roll. We are ranked in 5 of the national magazines as the #1 city in jobs, #1 city in population, #1 city in AT jobs, and you don't get there from a devastation of Katrina by not leading it forward, and we have done that.
Let's move on to Ms. Ramsey. How important is it to have a working relationship with the mayor of the city?
Obviously, it's very important. We have a strong mayor system, but I've met with the mayor, and he said when I win, he'll be the first to call, and I've committed to him. When he's right, I will be with him. But I will represent the citizens of District C. I am independent, and I'm not seeking to represent the administration or any particular group of people.
Let me ask you this. Who in city government do you most admire, and why?
Who in city government? All of city government?
All of city government.
Probably my colleagues on the council, because of the way we have worked together. As I said, it's the best team I've ever played on, and I've been on a lot of NORD teams.
So what makes this team so special?
Because everyone works, and everyone expects to do their part, and everyone is not afraid to disagree, and everyone expects to compromise and make it work, and everyone wants to get the job done.
Who in city government do you most admire, and why?
In city government, I have a great deal of respect for, it's basically representatives that have come from District C, Troy Carter, and I guess within the city, Congressman Richmond. He's been a great mentor and help, and guiding me through, you know, some of the politics, and just a very big help. Now, and I didn't know if you meant city or
I do
if
mean,
that included.
I do mean city. I mean city government. I've talked with some residents of the Marigny and the Bywater who seem to think that outside of the French Quarter and Algiers, they are the stepchildren in District C. Can either of you speak to those concerns from those particular residents? Ms. Clarkson.
Well, when I was District C councilwoman, I spent a lot of time in Marigny and Bywater. I just love them. And I've already been back to walk those areas, and we just had a big day in Bywater last Sunday. And I agree they don't get the attention that the French Quarter gets. And but when I was there, they got as much as, I mean, the whole district was pretty even, I thought. And I attended everything they invited me to. I've never not gone to all of the meetings that I was expected to go to. I work 16 hours a day, and I go 7 days a week and love it and enjoy it. And I'm never tired, and they know it, and they can call on me.
Thank you.
Ask Marigny and Bywater. I can give you names of people to call. They can call me at 2 in the morning with a problem, and I answer the phone.
Thank you. Ms. Ramsey?
I think whenever you go through a district or within the city, I think you're going to find that people will feel as if their concerns have not been addressed. I'm very happy that we've walked the district, we've knocked doors, shook hands, and talked to people, and I've committed that I will represent the entire district. I think that's just human nature to feel as if your concerns may not be heard at any particular time, but I've assured them that I will work for the entire district.
If elected, what is your first order of business as the District C Council representative?
I will start holding town meetings to get input from the residents. I've committed to having a council seat that I'm accessible and open and being inclusive. So I will set up schedules to meet with the residents and to continue doing what I've been doing, talking to them and getting their input.
Ms. Clarkson, if elected, what would be your first order of business?
Well, first of all, because we balance the budget with more revenues than expenditures, and because we have a fund balance, we've raised the bond rating from junk status to A-, which means we sold $40 million on Wall Street. A lot of that is the 2004 bond issue that I helped write, because the bond ratings were blown away in Katrina, and a lot of that goes into District C. And the first thing I will do is grab that bond issue and start applying that money to the infrastructure that has been so neglected in District C, and continue to find the recovery money to finish the parks, to finish the stadiums, to finish the soccer stadium, to finish, you know, all the things across District C that we had not had the resources for after Katrina.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies, and
Thank
good luck to both of you.
Thank you.
The runoff is March 15th, as you all know. That's all the time we have. Thanks to my guests, and thanks to you, as always, for watching. Now let's head back over to the news desk.
All right, thanks, Norman.